Hi everyone. Okay, this would be Friday's lesson. So hopefully by now you've figured out the mole stuff, you've gone through the heats of reaction, you understand how energy works with the mole ratio, and now we're going to talk about limiting reactants. So first of all, what are reactants? Which side of a chemical equation do they exist on? Yeah, they're on the left-hand side. So reactants are on the left-hand side of the arrow, so you use the reactants to make the products, right? So we're going to start with a non-chemistry example of sandwiches. Okay, so we're going to say 2 slices of bread, 3 slices of meat. My apologies to the vegetarians and vegans out there. We're going to, for convenience, use meat here. So 2 slices of bread plus 3 slices of meat are going to make 1 sandwich. Now, and the sandwiches must be made with that ratio, let's say. If you have, just follow along with your notes here, you have it all, but I'm not going to write them all out. If you have 10 slices of bread, so 10 slices of bread and 45 slices of meat, how many sandwiches can you make? And here I would want you to pause it. I know you have the answers in front of you, but I want you to really see if you can figure this out. Okay, pause, figure it out. Okay, so if you're back here, so there's different ways to do this. How I would do it is I would say, okay, well if I only have 10 slices of bread and I have 2 sandwiches, that tells me that from that I can only make 5 sandwiches from here. Now, 45 slices of meat, you've got 3 of them, 3 slices of meat per sandwich. So if I go 45 divided by 3, I could make 15 sandwiches with 45 slices of meat. Now, if I can make 5, but I can only make 5 sandwiches with the bread, but I can make 15 with the meat. So how many sandwiches can I actually make? I can only make 5 sandwiches. So in this case, which reactant is limiting? So this one is your limiting. So it's limiting you from making more sandwiches. Which one is in excess? It's going to be the slices of meat. You've got lots of that. So the bread is what's limiting you. The slices of meat is what's in excess. How much excess do I have? So how much extra do you have here? So what would you do for that one? Yeah, you'd say, well, I can only make 5 sandwiches. So 5 sandwiches times 3, I only need 15 slices of meat to make 5 sandwiches. However, I've got 45, so how much is in excess? I'm going to go 45, take away the 15, so this is how much I have. This is how much I would use for 5 sandwiches. So I've got 30 slices in excess. A lot of extra. Okay, so typically people really get this when we're talking about sandwiches, and then we add a chemical in there and they're like, whoa, I don't understand it. The exact same principles apply. So mathematically, whether you realize it or not, you're doing the exact same thing when you're talking about chemicals, as opposed to these entities of bread and meat slices here. So we're going to take this idea here and we're going to convert that and talk about it in terms of a chemical reaction, and we're going to factor in the mole ratio and all that fun stuff. Okay, so we've got iron plus oxygen here going to the iron oxide for a product there. Again, first step, what are you always going to do right at the very beginning? Yes, you are going to balance. So balancing this, you're going to have a 3 here and a 2 there. So now I've got my mole ratio there. Now, I've given you these numbers here. These numbers they're not the greatest, and I would have changed it if you were in class, but because that's all in your notes, we're just going to follow through with it as is. So let's say I've got 0.036 moles of iron, 0.300 moles of oxygen, and those 2 things are combining to make our iron oxide here. So the question would be asking you, how many moles of iron oxide is produced. So how many moles of iron oxide is produced? And then the second part of the question would be, what is limiting? What is in excess? So I'm just going to put that up there so we don't forget to do it. So this is exactly like the sandwich in terms of you were given two pieces of information, and what you did, you figured out the answer using this, and you figured out the answer using this. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to find the answers, so we're going to find the moles of the iron oxide using this information. Then we're going to find the moles of the oxide using the oxygen gas information, and then we'll chat once we get there. So moles of Fe3O4 equals 0.036 moles of iron. Now I'm going moles to moles, so I just need to multiply it by the mole ratio, only one bracket. So 3 moles of iron on the bottom, 1 mole of the Fe3O4 on top, and you get 0.036 divided by 3, 0.012 moles. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the moles of, I'm going to solve it again, but now instead of using the moles of iron, I just did that, I'm going to use the moles of oxygen. So 0.300 moles of O2. So now I'm going to take, again, moles of O2 is going to go on the bottom, moles of the oxide, the iron oxide on the top, and I know that I have 1 for every 2, and so we get 0.15 moles here, 150. So I've got 2 different answers. So which one is the right one? Which one are you going to pick? If we go back to the sandwich example, I could make 5 sandwiches from the slices of bread, 15 sandwiches from the slices of meat. Which one did we pick? The 5. So which one are we going to pick over here? The smaller one. Yeah, you're always going to choose the lesser number here. So your answer then is going to be this. So you are going to say 0.012, just 2 sig figs, 0.012 moles of iron oxide is produced. You have to state that. Some people just leave it and don't state that. Well, that's not answering the question. You have to say which one is the right answer, which one is the true one. So 0.012 moles of iron oxide is produced. The next question is asking you what is limiting and what is in excess. Now, the iron oxide, the answer that we used came from the iron. That means this is limiting. So that was the one that you were going to run out of. In the sandwich, the bread was limiting. That's what you were going to run out of first. So you would say iron is limiting. And then what's in excess is the oxygen. So oxygen gas is in excess. So that would be how you answered that question. And then you would box it in for your teacher so that she could find the answer nice and easily on your test. That would be your answer. Now, this particular question in your notes has another part to it. Typically, most of the questions don't ask you for that, so don't solve this unless you are asked. These questions get pretty labor intensive. They take a lot of work, a lot of time, so don't do this next part unless it's asked of you. So part B, I'm going to say how much O2 is in excess. So this is the same as the slices of meat where we said we used 15, so we had 30 slices in excess. Same principle here. You're going to use a certain amount of moles here of oxygen, and the rest of it is going to be in excess. How do you know how many moles of oxygen you used? Yeah, you're going to have to use dimensional analysis to solve that. So basically, it's kind of like how you have, it's like you have a new problem. Yay, you're all excited about that. And you know again that you use 0.036 moles of the iron, but you want to know how many moles moles of oxygen gas did you end up using? So how many moles of oxygen gas are going to react exactly with that 0.036 moles of iron here? So let's set up our DA. Moles of O2 equals 0.036 moles of iron. Moles of iron on the bottom, moles of O2 on the top. And we've got, what is it, 2 to 3, which came from our balanced chemical equation. 0.036 times 2 divided by 3. And so you get 0.0, excuse me, I have allergies, I'm not sick. 0.024 moles of O2. Now, that is how many moles of O2 we used. How many moles of O2 did we start with though? We started with 0.300. So therefore, moles of O2 in excess is equal to 0.300, which is what you started with, subtract 0.024, which is what you used, and you get an answer of 0.276 moles, except that's not the right sig figs, 0.28 moles of O2 is in excess. Okay, but again, don't do that part unless I ask you specifically for it. So those are limiting, they're all essentially the same. They're all just, you solve twice. So solve with both pieces of information, pick the smallest number. The one you ended up using was the one that's limiting, the other one is in excess. So you can go ahead and try exercise 19. So again, you've got all the answers there. So take a look at exercise 19. Okay, thanks a lot, guys. See ya.